Hey guys, it's Edwin here, and today we're going to talk about feelings of guilt after leaving a toxic relationship. Leaving any kind of relationship is not an easy thing to do, especially if you had like genuine emotional connection and you are concerned about your partner's well being. Even though like a toxic relationship is mostly like a one sided affair, the victim will always still care about their abusive partners, even when their partners are not reciprocating or showing any intention of treating them well. Like someone will still care about their partners even if they are not treating them well. It's an unbalanced relationship where like the giver keeps giving and the taker keeps taking without caring about what the other person is doing. The other thing about a toxic relationship is that the prospect of leaving is scarier and even more like guilt inducing than the prospect of staying in that relationship. In fact, like when someone leaves a toxic relationship, they feel guiltier than when they were in the relationship. Guilt can be defined as that feeling of responsibility or regret for a perceived offense, and this offense can either be real or imaginary. And guilt is just a normal thing in our daily lives, especially when we feel that we've genuinely done something that's against our core values. And it can even be a great compass we can use when correcting some of our undesirable behaviors. But when it comes to toxic relationships, you'll be feeling guilty for something you don't even stand for something that's not even real. For example, in a narcissistic relationship, is a narcissist may ask you to do something which goes against what you stand for. For example, like a narcissist may ask you to forge some documents or to do something which clearly goes against your boundaries. And when you say no, they start playing victim on how you don't care about them. And you will of course feel bad and even regret not doing what they requested, even if it goes against your boundaries or core values. Now, that's how guilt works when you are dealing with highly manipulative people. You feel guilty, yet you did nothing wrong. It's just because you stood up for yourself. Another thing is when a victim of narcissistic abuse thinks about leaving the relationship, some sort of intrusive thoughts will linger in the back of their minds. Something like, what if I'm doing something wrong? What if I'm making the wrong decision? And something about these guilt induced thoughts is that it will even make you stay in a toxic relationship longer. And in this video, I'm going to shed some light on why someone experiences these deep feelings of guilt, especially when they are attempting to leave a narcissist or after they've left a narcissist. So, like, why do you feel guilty after leaving someone who has been mistreating you? It seems not to make sense, but to make sense of this, we have to understand the toxic relationship cycle. Because, like, one of the most common survival responses when someone is staying in a toxic relationship is they will try to constantly make their partners happy. And we all know that a narcissist is someone who will never get satisfied and will do anything to meet their selfish needs. And it's the kind of relationship where you might have found yourself like persevering and even sacrificing your own needs so that you can make them happy. And when you're about to leave the relationship or after you leave the relationship, you feel that you even achieved this goal of making them happy early on in the relationship or in the grooming phase of the relationship. So, like when you think about the grooming phase of the relationship where like everything was superb and then compare with how the relationship is presently, you will have this feeling that you might have done something wrong that made them to change. It's more of just feeling so responsible for their changed behavior as you cannot come to terms to the fact that what was happening early on in the relationship was just them putting on a mask just to get you hooked. So that's why you will feel guilty because you are trying to connect the dots between beginning of the relationship where that partner was so charming and loving and the current status of the relationship where now that partner is treating you so badly. So trying to connect those dots, you are just pointing yourself as someone who did wrong for them to change that drastically. What also like reinforces the feelings of guilt after leaving that relationship or when you are thinking about leaving the relationship is that you will always zero in on some of your undesirable behaviors or actions in the course of that relationship that made them angry or upset. You may find yourself having deep regrets because you've concluded that some of the things you've done or some of the things you may have done in the relationship made them to change. It's more like you're just pointing out on some of those instances where like you can make genuine mistakes, but you're just pointing at those instances as instances which might have made them to change. And one of the hardest things to comprehend is how someone who was so nice in the beginning can turn out to be so hurtful. That's why feelings of guilt in a narcissistic relationship cuts deeper, as things have escalated so fast from this heavenly place, this royalty-esque like place, to this kind of ugly and hellish situation. You will be carrying this thought and this feeling that there must be something you could have done to change the outcome of the relationship, or there must be something you could have done differently to make the relationship become better. And without understanding that narcissists are experts at raising the bar of expectations way above what you can reasonably achieve, and from the beginning of the relationship you are primed to fall short. That's why this guilt will eat you from the inside, because you can keep giving and giving, but there is a limit in which you can give, and the narcissist just wants their needs to be fed constantly. So from the beginning you are just primed to fail. Another reason why you feel so guilty after leaving a narcissistic relationship is that you've been manipulated to feel or to think so. You see, like, a narcissistic relationship is a place where you've been constantly verbally abused, called out, and gaslighted in various kinds of ways. Because a narcissist is the kind of person who will always plant this seed in your head that their actions and behaviors are a result of what you are doing, or are a result of your actions. They will project their failures and their shortcomings in life to something you did or something you are doing. And they will never take ownership for what's going on in their lives. It will always be you are at fault. And in the course of the relationship, you may hear them telling you things like, I work so hard to pay all the bills. The least you could do is ABCD. Or, you really don't love me. If you did, you would do ABCD. Or something like, you are never grateful after all those things I've done for you. And when you are in this constant state of manipulation, you will be programmed to believe that what the narcissist is saying is the truth. And it will even distort your sense of reality. So, the guilt you are feeling is because you've lost touch with your authentic self, and you even accepted their lies as truth. They've also manipulated you to the point that you believe it's your job to make them happy, and when they are not happy, it means that you've done something wrong. That's how the game is played. And when you cannot differentiate between what's right from what's wrong, you will even feel very guilty when you even think of doing something which serves you, like leaving the relationship, because leaving the relationship is for your own good, but you'll feel so guilty because you cannot differentiate what's right from what's wrong, because your reality has been distorted. That's why you'll feel so guilty. Another reason why you feel so guilty after leaving someone who has constantly abused you is societal conditioning and unrealistic expectations. Like, our society will have a role to play when it comes to fueling those feelings of guilt you already have. Because one thing about the society is it expects us to stick to our families or to our relationship till the end, even if the relationships are hurtful. Stick to your family even if your family is abusing you. Some norms even do not condone things like divorce or leaving a relationship or leaving a marriage. And it might feel that you are doing something wrong. And that's how this matrix has been designed. And the moment you try breaking out of it and say end the relationship or end the marriage, you will feel that there's that finger being pointed at you as the one who's fully responsible for what happened in the relationship. You will feel that as a wife or husband, you should have done more and just stick to that abusive relationship, just like everyone else around you, just like what your parents did or just like what your friends are doing. So, Leaving that toxic relationship does not meet the unrealistic expectations the society sets for us. And this will make you feel so guilty because it's more like you are the odd one out. Everyone else is sticking to their unhealthy relationships, but you are the one who's breaking out. It means that there is something which you are doing which is wrong. You may also feel guilty because you feel that you are letting your family down, or you are letting your kids down, or you are letting your in-laws down by leaving that relationship, or by even thinking about leaving that relationship. You are like, wow, my family spent all their time during the wedding or during the dowry negotiations, so I'll be letting them down. So that's really making you feel that you are doing a bad thing by leaving an unhealthy relationship. And guilt will even force you to stay in that relationship so that it can look like you are doing something good from the eyes of the society. You are hurting, but the guilt or the feeling that you are doing something bad will keep you in that relationship so that you can just present that picture of like everything is good. That's how society has screwed you up. So how do you deal with that feeling of guilt after leaving a toxic relationship? The best thing to do is to understand that there's nothing humanly possible that you could have done to save that relationship. You cannot save a relationship where someone uses you to meet their own needs and sees no fault in their actions. You can't. And the huge part of the guilt you are having is you are probably feeling responsible for someone else's actions. It's more like you taking ownership for something that's not within your control. Also, understanding how narcissistic relationships or how toxic relationships work will at least lessen that guilt or that painful feeling of guilt, as you will now realize that what you are seeing now from your partner is them revealing their true colors. It's of course painful to accept that all those beautiful things that they did to you at the beginning of the relationship was just them laying foundation for their abuse. But look at leaving that toxic relationship as a new beginning for you away from that nightmare. Always remember that you deserve a better life, even if someone else is telling you otherwise. No, you deserve a better life, and be gentle on yourself and don't be so hard on yourself because you are yet to process the things which were done to you. Hope you found that helpful, guys. Feel free to comment, subscribe, and share. Have a great afternoon. Until next time, see ya.